Is there some commonality that you see that comes up with people that are trying to go to the next level?
It's literally like letting go of control and allowing people in their team to pick up
Mm,
things. So
mm-hmm.
many of my clients have got that reputation for like Levi's amazing at executing. You can really count on him. He's going to deliver it. And then their work gets so complex that they can't have their fingers in all the pies anymore, and having to step back and like let someone else do it just activates a lot of fear and anxiety.
Mm,
And then so people grab even harder. And then they
mm-hmm.
start micromanaging, but then they also start getting overwhelmed because, well, I can't trust these people to do it, but I'm not willing to let go. What do I do? Um, that's a big theme that comes up. Yeah,
That
and
makes
you're
so
nodding
much
like
sense.
sounds
Yeah, I mean, it
familiar.
makes so much sense. I've seen it before, and definitely can notice the tendencies. I'm curious about how the efficacy of it. You know, is it always a success? And what is like a success story of someone who has done that, and what happened to the team?
Biggest thing that I'll see as I work with clients like over time is them talking about how much lighter they feel. That's a word that comes a lot.
Mm,
Coming in and like the early sessions, like really highly strung. I'm just remembering one specific client from last year, and he was like all over the place.
hmm.
And he was just couldn't, was like really struggling in the coaching session. And a lot of it's like, well, you've had Misha on the podcast, like just let's take a breath and let's think about what you want and what's required to get there. What are you going to have to stop doing? And then what's going to get in the way of you stopping doing this thing? So what will you say to yourself in that moment, in that time? Yeah, so there's a lot of clients who also as well feel sort of more confident to advocate for themselves,
Hmm.
set up boundaries about what is appropriate or not, what they will do, what they won't do. That tends to come up a lot too. Yeah.
And thank you for sharing this. It's really interesting, and it's so ironic that we have to let go of this to get more, right? You have to like do less to get more.
Do
I think
less.
Helen Iwata, I haven't had her, I haven't met her before, but I think she has something like this,
Yeah. Less
like a
effort,
motto
more
like this.
impact.
Less effort, more
Yeah.
impact.
And
So
one of my
it's
coaches, Sarah
interesting.
Furia, always used to say, reduce and devote.
Reduce
I
and
thought
devote.
reduce and devote, Sarah Furia. So
Nice.
I thought it was a great. Every now and then when I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, it's like, okay, what needs to come off my plate? Yeah.
I remember when I was being managed by someone who has a bit of those tendencies, and they had never really received coaching or training, but I could see that it was causing problems and a little bit of it was kind of stopping the machine from turning because everything would go on their plate. So I coined a phrase to them: "Don't wait, delegate." I'm sure it was something that's out there as well, but it like
Yeah.
in books or somewhere. But I liked this kind of rhyming phrase. But
Yes.
to
Remember.
shift gears a
Can I
little
just
bit,
make one point to that
you were
that
saying,
point specifically in
oh,
recruitment, Levi?
yes,
May
please.
I? Because I think a lot
Yes.
of people who get promoted in recruitment specifically is because they were top billers, and people often want to like
Mm-hmm.
lead from the front. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I totally understand where that is coming from, but it's I think when you depending on what your compensation scheme is and how your team is going to be recognized, um, actually how you can build up other people is going to create more value, literally financially, but also like across the organization, and is more sustainable for you as well. Like you can't hit those
Mm-hmm.
targets as an individual biller. That's why we have a team. So especially for a lot of recruitment like first level managers, it's working out who am I as a manager. I'm not a recruiter anymore, but I am because I'm a player manager. But how am I going to use my time? And where is my mindset about my responsibility for individually completing this number, this target? And then when that target seems really far away, what do? We go to our so-called comfort zone and like try to move through that. So I think the managers who are able to create like a sustainable business are looking as soon as possible, like, how do I build people?
Mm.
How do I get the team all billing, all hitting targets? And I might have
Yeah,
a
I
couple of
mean,
superstars if I'm lucky, but actually having consistent billers, making those, we don't need people to hit 200% of the targets. We need everyone to hit 100. Yeah.
and to stay there for years and then maybe train up more people. And yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
point. And recruitment is like one of the purest forms, I think, maybe because it's a sales role, but it's just one of the purest forms of this individual contributor kind of mindset, or that Wild West mindset. I think it's come a long way over the
Yeah.
years that it's been around. Like, it's from the Wild West
Yeah.
until now, but still there is definitely some big gaps, I think, in terms of the training or the coaching that's going on. But I don't know, have you noticed the changes
Well, I was going to ask
in the
you about this
industry?
because I know that, like, when I first started my business, I got so many inquiries for like doing onboarding training, for doing recruitment training. And every now and then they still kind of come in, not so much now because like my brand is not so connected with the industry anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think if there's a bilingual trainer in Japan who can do recruitment sales training, it was, and maybe you can tell me if it still is, it's like so needed because the sales managers don't have the bandwidth to do it. And maybe they don't have the
Mm-hmm.
skills, to be frank, right? It's very different to teach someone to do it than do it yourself. Um, so yeah, I still think that that's, if you can nail that corner of the market and you can not need to have an exclusive contract, there's a lot of needs. Is it still the case? Yeah.
I think so, but I think that the people that, this is generalizing, but I think the people that maybe don't have the time, and some of them maybe aren't prioritizing that at all, right? They're not thinking that they need to have a trainer come in because either someone is going to sink or swim on their own, right? It's kind of you're going to have it or you're not. You have the the sales instinct, or you don't have it. And there's
Yeah.
not a lot of belief, I think, in people and training as the system. So I don't think there's a ton of investment that's being made in hiring trainers. This is just my impression from talking to
Yeah.
different people in the industry.
Right.
I mean, David Sweet, and there's a lot of firms that are investing, but
Mm.
I think there's also plenty that are not that interested in doing so.
Yeah.
Um, but people will go to those companies and then maybe they won't make it and they go to a different company and they do make it. So it is important, I think we can see. And if nothing else, just for someone's mental health, like for their happiness and enjoyment, to be somewhere that's taking care of them and giving them the right tools. So,
But also like for the clients and for the candidates, like I think now as I look back on it and I think about myself, the recruiter, I was so young and I knew nothing.
mm,
It's like these people have real problems, right? If this
yeah.
hiring manager doesn't sort out this team, then maybe they're going to get fired or demoted,
Mm,
right? And that has impact on their family and as for
so
candidates,
true.
right? So sometimes that is one of the things which I was very grateful for at Wall Street and then World, that there was a big commitment to training. Um,
Mm,
Obviously, because they invested in at least one salary, and we brought in people from time to time as well, like outside trainers and stuff. That yeah, like we're dealing with people's lives. I know it's
there's a lot of
hard to think about.
responsibility.
There is a lot of responsibility, and I know that you have to compartmentalize it because otherwise you take too much home. And I think
Hmm.
like maybe this is the other kind of coaching perspective. Like these are adults that you're dealing with, so
Hmm.
you can't make them do anything they don't want to do, and it's their choice that they're making. So they're okay, you're okay, transactional analysis in the house. So I think you have to take a healthy level of responsibility for
Hmm.
where you're introducing people and so on. But at the end of the day, they make the decision. They
Yeah, it's
go.
true. I think getting
Yeah.
over, some people maybe need to get over that aspect of it. Because I know I've dealt with that as well. Like that, I feel bad if I'm introducing them to a bad company. But really, if you are giving them, you're fully transparent, telling them everything that you know about the company, then they're making their own decision. But then going too far, like you're saying, you kind of get jaded maybe, or maybe you're even hiding something to because you have
Yeah.
sales pressure. I mean, it's
Right.
understandable in some cases, but it has real consequences as
Yeah.
well. So somewhere in between, I guess, would be ideal.
And that's
And
why one
training
of the funny
seems
things
critical.
about the industry too, um, I think if I was like going into it again,
Hmm.
I would go in with definitely a different perspective of who is my customer. And I think as a new recruiter, I certainly focus that the candidate was my customer, which they're not,
Hmm.
but they think they are.
Yeah,
I want to be treated as such, but it's the client's problem that you're solving. It's the hiring manager's problem that you're solving. And I think if you, my assumption is if you can go in with that mindset, then you understand better the dynamics that you're working with. I definitely was the recruiter who said I'm going into this because I want to help people. Wrong answer. But I did. I did
definitely.
want to help people, and you do. Recruiters do help people, but it's who are you trying to help? And a lot of I think people coming into the industry say I want to help the candidates.
Hmm.
And of course, people do. Of course, you do. But the industry exists to solve the problem of the clients.
For sure. Yeah, I think people come into it sometimes wanting to purely help people, and I'm not surprised. I think when I'm surprised more people don't become coaches because I think this is maybe has something to do with that desire of like wanting to help people. But even as a coach, you can't help everybody. There's probably people that you definitely can't help. And so you have to make a decision of where you want to have your impact. And it's really no different, I guess, than recruitment in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But I wanted to ask you a little bit about outside of work and maybe your passions over there, if you're okay to go there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well,
So
I have
I know you've been,
yeah.
yeah. So tell us a little bit
Sorry, I
about
think you
what's
have a
happening
question forming and
outside of
I'm
work.
jumping in.
No, it's okay. I think there's a little delay, but just tell us about, yeah, outside of work, basically your passions for art, etc.
Yeah, yeah. You can sort of see behind some of the meerkats. This was, but maybe to keep it recruitment focused, I will do my pitch for a book which I illustrated and David Sweet wrote. So multifaceted
Nice.
recruiters. I'm not doing so much painting these days. I'm doing a lot more work with textiles. And I just signed up for a foundation course next year on textiles. So that's something I love to work with. I work currently with old running t-shirts that have sort of, when you enter a race, you have a dream, like I want to be faster, I want to run further. They're really hard to throw away. But of course, because
Mm-hmm.
they're polyester, they last forever. So I was like, what can I do? And the colors are really vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this nice stretch in the polyester too. So I was like, what could I do with these things? So I used to do a lot of textile work when I was younger, more like screen printing and batik and stuff. But yeah, I started to learn how to weave, how to do macrame or macrame. I don't know how I pronounce it. um, but those types of things. And I'm just really, really excited in that space of creation. And yeah, that's giving me a lot of feelings of Ikigai,
Mm-hmm.
and that life is worth living. And I want to wake up again tomorrow. Um, and I think it's something which is I'm looking for, like, what's my third stage for. I don't even know what stage of my life I'm in, but it's something I want to have more of. And I sort of, yeah, I could talk about it for a long time.
What do you make the t-shirts into? I wasn't exactly clear.
Yeah, I don't have anything in here, but sort of like wall hangings or
Mm.
mats. I did an installation with like 300 pom-poms, supposed to look like ajisai,
Mm-hmm.
hydrangeas. Yeah, so different objects, I think, is the best way to describe
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, there's you always go somewhere and you buy a t-shirt maybe as a memory. I remember my dad, he was like a big traveler and he was going all around and he had this huge pile of t-shirts and we were moving and he was going to throw them away or something. And then my aunt heard about it and she made it into a big quilt. So
Oh,
he has it
lovely.
at his house now, just like hanging as a wall decoration of all these
Yeah.
different places that he was and the t-shirts that he collected. So it sounds similar. And
Yeah.
especially using someone's achievements, like that they ran a race or something, seems really special. So that's a very
Yeah.
cool idea.
Yeah. It's I know in the I joined the Sumidemo Kojima Expo, which is a art exhibition which happens for a month. I think it was the fifth year this year. And last year I joined, and the theme was 100 years since the Great Tokyo earthquake. So I decided I would gather 100 t-shirts and those stories, and I got people to share their stories from the race, what running means to them. Because I'm a very slow runner as well, and I'm in a running club. And it was just like really beautiful to hear about how people feel connected, how they want to challenge themselves, how they like came back from injury. There was a really lovely story of one guy, the t-shirt. It was this local race and in his hometown, and his grandmother volunteered so that she could see him.
Hmm.
And she like did the Edo and like was giving him a drink and a half a banana, whatever. It was so cute. And he showed me the photo, and I just felt really privileged to have this access to this story. And I think all that energy is in the work as well. I think another thing that I love about them, like one thing I like hate about museums is when you can't touch anything.
Yeah.
So when I was in the expo this year, I'm just like, yeah, like touch everything, smell it if you like. There might be somebody's old, yeah, just really have like full sensory experience.
Smell it if you dare.
Yeah. Well, actually, they were all washed. And one thing was interesting. I made this really big, it's maybe like 2 meters wide wall hanging. I don't know how many t-shirts are on it, but I remember when I was making it, and every now and then I would get like a different scent of somebody's like fabric softener. It's like, what is this? So nice. And I never got the nasty smells because people are,
I mean, it's Japan.
Very,
I'm sure
very
that they would.
Yeah, exactly. And they would come to me like beautifully packaged in like plastic bags. I'm like, I don't really want the plastic bags. Like, what? Not what my work is about. We're trying to reduce waste. But yeah, it was. It's really.
Was that the
really
rainbow
fun.
colored one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was beautiful. I just saw pictures of it, but it looked really nice.
Yeah, and that one's
did you dye them
title,
or there was that many colors?
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, and the title is something like it came from one of these anketo from not interview but like the survey, and someone was describing a race and they said, I feel like in my life I've always done everything half-heartedly, like was my translation of chutohampa, but this was the only thing where I've really done ishokeme, like fully committed. No, I just got goosebumps as I said that, because that's like how it felt when I was making it. And I think that's a wonderful thing to like be able to say about something in your life.
Yeah.
But, like,
and then they donated that as well. So they gave that.
Yeah, like the t-shirt came to me, like, yeah, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
I just
powerful.
cut it up, pulled it, and made it into a ball of yarn. Thanks.
But that's powerful energy, I think, that's in there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool work. Are you looking to do this as a business to make money at the art?
Like
or is it...
my work is for sale. Like I sold some things in this year's expo, which was like really exciting and very edgy. And I kind of talked to my coach and my therapist about it, like what was coming up for me. A lot of imposter syndrome for sure. So it's something I would like to have as a, something coming in the future, but also I gain like so much inspiration from coaching. And I think the clients that I am fortunate enough to have, share their challenges and their opportunities, there's always a parallel process. Like there's always a reflection of what's happening for me as well. So it helps me to work through my stuff too.
Beautiful.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I look forward to seeing. We all look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next few months or few years with this.
Yeah,
I think
it'll be years rather than months. being frank, with a daughter about to go into high school and a son about to go
Mm,
into junior high school, I'm prioritizing different things right now in terms
mm-hmm.
of like where my energy goes. However, it was amazing last month when I was at the expo. First of all, October's weather was amazing, and I was sitting outside, like working on a piece, and just
Mm-hmm.
like taking in the day, taking in my neighborhood. I didn't listen to any podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not going to listen to music. I'm just going to listen to the sounds of the street, and be open. It was so magical. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
When you're doing something that you love, I mean,
yeah,
I can see it in your face as well.
yeah.
That's
I feel
something.
I'm feeling all sparkly right now.
Awesome. Is there any other message, I guess, that you want to share before we sign off?
I think well, maybe this is just about gratitude to what recruitment has brought me and what
Mm,
it had enabled me to do. Like obviously I wasn't in a sales role for the whole time. Um, but I think that ability, because many coaches who haven't have sales experience, for example, really struggle with the sales thing. But like I'm okay because as well, like you've spoken to candidates who are in C-level roles and you go, okay, they are people with troubles too. I think the
mm-hmm.
big titles don't scare me. And I'm like, I can just talk to you. It's fine. So I think that like direct sales part, the cold, not so much. I don't know if people cold call anymore, but just reaching out to people. Recruitment was amazing for that. Because I also worked in customer relationship marketing, I was interacting with a lot of C-level people. So again, and I still have connections from those 8 years ago, those clients that I met in those times, and still working with them. So it is the gift
Wow.
that keeps on giving. And as well, though, like the overall experience that I had from like Wall Street to N World, all the different roles that I was given, I had so many opportunities to learn and to develop new skills. And I feel like, because it was still like very startup when I was there and doing things that had never been done before, like how I'm trying to work out, I can't remember how old I was, but I did like a full rebrand. And because we didn't have anyone else in marketing, and I did this full rebrand from Wall Street to N World. I had some support from N Japan, but not a lot. It's
That
like,
was
how
you?
did yeah, that was me. I mean, I had an
Wow.
agency that I worked with, but people got really sick of seeing my email address with like another branding communication from Shinkai. Bloody hell. Sorry, I hope I can lightly swear. Um, so yeah, I just think it gave me so many connections, experiences. I'm still in touch with a load of people that I used to work with, some really good friends.
Mm,
So, even if you find that recruitment isn't for you, I think it's a really wonderful industry in terms of the skill sets and the exposure to humans that you get. It's
for
really
sure.
powerful. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot to be gained, especially if you're going all in.
Yeah.
Not doing it chuto hampa, I guess. And then if it's
Yes.
not for you, you can get out. But great to hear that those skills were so valuable and continue to be, and the connections. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming onto the podcast. It's nice to speak with you, and
Thank you.
we'll connect soon.
Yeah. It was an awesome trip down memory lane. Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. All right.